Today, a full wedding day in easy light and in low light. Sometimes we use flash, sometimes we use no flash. You'll be experiencing the entire wedding day through my EVF, through my screen record, so you can see exactly what I see on a wedding day. This includes all my settings, as well as that I sometimes also get lazy and don't update my white balance. So now, it's time to go to the wedding day. Yeah. Last wedding of the season, I have sunglasses on because we just finished Canada Photo Summit, which is the conference for wedding photographers that we put on here in Waterloo, Ontario, Canada. And you can come next year if you want. Sam Hurd's coming, Ike, you might know him as Photo Me Ike, Jason Vincent, Magic is coming all the way from Poland, and we're gonna have some more special guests that by the time I edit this, they might be on the screen in front of my face right now. Oh, editing note, if you're watching this the first day this video came out, you can get in on the early bird rate, which is $149 to come to this conference, so it's very inexpensive. And if you're watching it before Black Friday, you can still get in for $199. After that, it goes up to $399. Very excited. If you're interested, come on through Canada Photo Summit. Anyways, we wrapped that, and then I went into a double wedding weekend, and this is my last wedding of the year. We have the largest camera possible, ergonomics. I'm gonna give it a rating of 0, a -1. 51.2, amazing lens. Also incredible camera, but maybe not the ideal kit, especially with this Ninja Star. Anyways, let's go take some pictures. First up, we have a father-daughter first look. I'm gonna go shade white balance, which might be a little hot for your taste. I think that life looks better in a sunset, so I just shoot this pretty much all day. So I'm always white balancing for skin tones, and even though we're indoors here, we're still being lit by the windows behind me, and it's a little warm, but it's pretty close, I think. And the blackout is a little bit annoying in full screen, but when you're actually using the camera, it's not so bad. I basically only have 2 lenses with me today. I have my backup Sony kit in case I need it, but I just have the 51.2 as well as the 24-70 f2.8 for Nikon Z series. They are by far my favorite 2 lenses, I think, for the Z series. The only downside is that they're a little bit larger. And you might be wondering what this guy does, and it just, well, you've already seen it. It records the screen, the EVF that's happening in here. One of the things I like about Nikon is that when you attach a black box screen recorder, you can't buy these anymore. I want someone to make a product similar to this, but whenever you connect the HDMI, it doesn't immediately override to just the screen only like it does on Canon and Sony. You can run both simultaneously. So that's pretty cool, and I'm very, very happy that Nikon either intentionally did that or accidentally did that. I'm not sure, but I'm a big fan. I'm going to primarily show the screen records today. Usually I kind of pepper in a lot of photos and show you the final images. I'm just gonna hope that you trust me that the images are great. Here's one to just show you. See, look, I'm pretty good at this, the editing also, but I think it's more important to just see exactly kind of the screen that's coming out of the camera, and I feel like that is one of the strengths of shooting the ZF as an educational tool to put out there into the world for you to watch. I've now put on the 24-70. Ceremony-wise, here specifically, the ceremony, the aisle is like 8 feet long. So 24-70 preferred over the Tamron 35-150 f2 to f2.8, which is another lens I love. A 7200 in this space will get you in trouble. 24-70 I think is where it's at, or even a 35 prime, maybe a 50 prime, maybe a 24 prime. But this is for sure the right tool for the day. Do a few getting ready photos and then continue on to the ceremony, which is happening real quick. Camera for 1 or 2. Take like maybe 3 or 4 steps out here. Nice. Awesome. Cool. And if you just want to like adjust your bow tie or something for one, you don't actually have to adjust it, but awesome. Do you guys want a picture together? So I'll stop down a little bit if there's 2 people. Even if I try to get their eye line the same, I would rather err on the side of caution for photos like that. Moving into the ceremony, I am going to swap back to my 24-70 because that is the lens of this ceremony environment here. As you can see, a very tiny aisle and really challenging if you're doing photo and video hybrid coverage. Today we're only doing photography, so that makes my life a little bit easier, and especially having super overqualified Liam here to help me out. I feel like the couple is in very safe hands. When my second photographer is someone that I would trust to shoot my own wedding, I think that's a good sign. But also, thanks Liam for coming out. I appreciate it, because you shot so many weddings this year, and now you're second shooting. You might be listening to a podcast though the entire day, I don't know. What are they, the Bose? Are those the Boses?
Bose frames.
Bose frames.
Alto style.
Alto style. Listen to a podcast in any environment that you're allowed to wear sunglasses in. Type Liam for your promo code. It's not a real promo code. Moving into the ceremony, the light is not ideal. It's kind of that hot spot. Liam's on across the aisle there, so he's getting a shadier, more appropriate reaction shot. And you can see my final edit on the right there for what I'm making these images look like, even though there's a lot of dynamic range in this scene. And all of my presets are available if you're a part of the member site that comes with all my courses, like Book More Weddings 2023, as well as the hybrid photo video day course. You also get access to my presets if you sign up. And I think there is 1 or 2 monthly slots available. Usually the monthly slots are gone. You got to sign up for the annual, but I believe that there's at least 1 at the time of recording this available if you do want to sign up. And you get instant access to it all. And there's also no contract if you go monthly. You can cancel whenever you want. Also, 100% money back guarantee. You join, it's not for you, send me an email, and I'll send your money back. So even though the sunlight is a little soft because it's getting closer to sunset, this I think is a better angle. And you don't want to process your images to look really HDR and really crispy around the edges. So I am underexposing maybe a little bit on some of these shots, maybe not, I don't know, maybe the background's a little bit overexposed, but I am kind of aiming for the middle of the exposure rather than just exposing just for them like I usually would. And this is what the straight to camera images look like. And if you're wondering, I am shooting high efficiency RAW, which is the middle RAW setting, and I haven't really noticed any issues. I've never really noticed any issues shooting compressed RAW formats for anything. I don't process the files super heavily. Maybe if I'm doing landscape photography, maybe I might work on specific sections a little bit more, and maybe that would be a reason that I would shoot a lossless compressed format or just completely uncompressed. But for wedding days, I like to keep everything on the cards that are in my camera. So that means that I'm putting 2 cards. There's a micro SD in this, so I have a 256 in the micro SD, and then I think I have a 512 in the SD slot. And I do not like to change my cards at all. So I'm not gonna be taking them out, put them in a card wallet. Everything just stays in the camera all day. You'll also notice I went into DX mode there, so I went into crop mode, and the front button comes default to that. And I'll use that a lot. You lose megapixels, you're essentially just cropping your images in real time in the camera rather than doing it in post, but I use a service called Imagen. There's a link down below. They do my AI editing, and if you sign up with that link, you'll get 1,500 free edits rather than the regular 1,000. So you can see if it's for you, but it's kind of been the best efficiency hack in my wedding photography business. The fact that I can come home from a wedding day, I can quickly cull through everything. You can also use their AI assisted culling if you want. And then after submitting I'm gonna say 700 images from today's wedding, they'll be back to me within maybe 5, 6, maybe 10 minutes if you're using the masking as well. It'll do masking adjustments on the couple or the people in the image if you want. And it's all pattern recognition, so it's built on however you would edit an image, it will emulate that. And what you've done in the past, it will apply that to future images. Or you can use the talent profiles that have already been trained if you just want to get started and just see if it's getting pretty close to what you want. So you might have noticed that I changed to 3D tracking. Just there's a lot of people around and I want to make sure that it focuses on the person that I want it to focus on. The way you use the 3D tracking is you just put the focus point on the person and then it will select their face. And as long as you're half pressing, it'll stay like this. It'll just kind of stay glued to whoever you stuck it to. And even when you take a lot of photos, it's just fine. There were some bubbles being blown in there, but not a whole lot of them, unfortunately, were in the vicinity of the picture. And that's all for the ceremony. Now we're going to move into a group shot of everyone. Fortunately, we have some stairs, so I don't have to find a ladder or something to climb up on. And I actually go down to F8 eventually, but I did the whole thing where you think you're hitting record, but you actually hit stop. So I did that right here, but that's okay, right? Then we moved into family photos, basically right where we were at. Logistically, it was the easiest, and also the light is good. I'm a little bit cooler than I would usually be, but I can warm that up in post-production. And most of the time I do a horizontal and then I will do a vertical as well because I know that people prefer having different picture frames on their desk at work or at home or up on the mantle. And while the family photo section of the day might be the most creatively uninspiring, I would say that it's almost the most important part of the wedding and one of the key reasons that you're there. So never phone it in for family photos or you're gonna be sad and your clients are gonna be sad. It's also best practice to stay at whatever your lowest ISO is, not to go into the extended ISOs. So 100 is my lowest ISO on this camera, but there is a low, I think 0.3 and 0.7 option. I'm not a mathematician, but I think you get a slight, like a very marginal hit in image quality or dynamic range or something if you go into those extended options. And usually the only reason that I'll go into the lower extended ISO is if I'm shooting at 1.2 outside. And I want to stay within the bounds of my mechanical shutter, which is 1/8000 of a second. And sometimes you need to bring the ISO down. But today we're in this weird diffuse kind of LA style sun, so shout out to whatever the sun and the clouds are doing today because it makes it look real nice. Found this nice little vignette here, making this natural vignette kind of frame with a tree. Oh, now we gotta play the frame.
Frames. Does your camera make frames? Frames. Do you use natural frames? Frames. Interlinked.
If you want to watch the full travel show that we did with Nikon, the Nikon original Z6, that's available for you to watch. Around the World with Taylor Jackson, presented by Nikon. Also, a fun thing, if you are a Luminar Neo customer, if you purchase that, there is a erase power lines option that works 50% of the time in this case because they're in the background there and it got rid of 2 of them. There's still 2. That's okay. And regardless of how many really nice photos you take and all the creative energy you put into them, the one of the couple smiling and facing the camera is the one that all the family's gonna want. So make sure you take that one a bunch of times, as well as a full length of each person, as well as the back of the dress, if you have a wedding dress. Day of update. Ergonomics of this ZF with the 51.2. Still absolute trash panda garbage rat, but we're getting through. I feel like I've jammed my finger. Like I don't even know, like rock climbing, a big dyno, and just like came down. I don't rock climb anymore. Might not recommend this combination. Images, beautiful, but maybe consider a Z9 that we're filming this on, or a Z8. It balances a lot nicer. Liam was commenting that his 51.2 feels so much lighter on that camera body than it does on this improperly balanced one. So the 40 f2 kit lens, thumbs up. Even the 24-70 is, I'm happy enough with it, but this guy I think is over max size of this camera. So and also with the additional grip too. So without this grip, you couldn't even use it, I don't think. Anyways, photo session went great. Lots of wonderful photos. I like to diversify my lens use because I've had some issues. I've had 2 issues, one with the Sony lens, a Tamron Sony 35-150, and a Nikon 85-1.2 that have become tilt shifts, so one of the interior elements has shifted a little bit, and it's caused some problems. So because of that, I don't want to just shoot an entire wedding day on one lens in case I don't see that until I get back to a computer. Also, Canada Photo Summit, don't forget, you should come. We now head into the reception and the awkward lighting part of the day where it's just, the sun is just gone, but it's still kind of daylight at the windows, but the incandescent inside is almost balancing. And this is the time of day that it just sucks and you kind of have to do the best you can and you kind of fix it in post. So if you struggle with this part of the day, that's cool, I do too. That's a nice picture. The white balance is wrong, but good thing you shoot raw. Daylight, I don't know what I'm doing here. I set it to sun and I'm like, that's perfect. And then they came in and they're obviously just, what, that's not the right white balance? Okay, maybe that's subjective. Maybe I'm confident in that white balance choice, and maybe you're wrong. No, I'm wrong. And now the whole world is incandescent, and life is nice again. We've been blessed this evening with, there's a light feature on the dance floor. Usually it's just darkness. And with the advances in mirrorless cameras, one thing you don't really get is the RF beacon from up here. That, yeah, you could do that, it could kick out some light, but you're still relying basically on the image the camera's seeing. This ZF is doing very, very, very good. I'm gonna say it's comparable to the Z9, Z8. They say that it's not quite as good because this is not a stacked sensor, but in my use case, I'm very, very happy with it. And as you've seen on the screen, it's been pretty good. Now, what I'm doing is I'm just bouncing this light here off the ceiling. That's all. There's nothing advanced going on necessarily. This allows me to be a little bit more versatile. And I'm also using, so I was using the 51.2 for a bit, but now I'm using the 24-70. And essentially kind of what was happening was that I would be doing photos at the 50, and then I'd be asked for a group photo and there'd be like 10 people in the group. So this is a little bit more versatile with the white ceiling bouncing my light. I'm very happy. So I'm still experimenting with what focus modes I like the best in situations like this, and I almost find that all wide points, so here's a 3D tracking demo, so you put the box over somebody's face and then it just will hold with them. I almost feel as though all wide points is the way to go in this situation because it'll bounce around based on whose face it actually sees, rather than locking into somebody and then following the back of their head. That's not really that important, and I would rather it select the faces that it sees. High ISO performance, also very, very good in this camera as well, even though it's a bit of an older sensor. New processor, so maybe there's some balance there. Thank you so much for joining us here this wedding day. Liam, behind the camera, me, sometimes in front of the camera, sometimes also behind the camera, depending on what clip you're looking at. Canada Photo Summit. If you want to come meet myself, my wife Lindsay, Sam Hurd, Liam's going to be there, Tim's going to be there, everyone's going to be there. Photo Me Ike, Jason Vincent. It's a pretty stacked lineup already. So, Canada Photo Summit, come on through. It's gonna be a nice time for family and friends.